Welcome to Leicester Fan TV. Today we're going to be talking more manager talk and transfer rumours. There's not many transfer rumours, but manager talk is all over the place at the moment. Sam, sounds like Scott Parker is officially turned us down for what we know of. And the front runner now is a guy called Enzo Maresca from a Man City back-end coach. What's your kind of take on this?
Yeah, from what I've heard, obviously we all thought it would be Scott Parker. He was heavily linked and rumoured to be in and around Seagrave about joining us, and it would have happened. We probably would have known by now if he was the manager, but apparently it didn't go through because he wanted more power than the club was willing to give him, and the club are probably very reluctant to give any manager the kind of power that some of them might want, considering what's just happened with Rodgers, and we gave him a lot of power and he brought in some of his own players. He got rid of the staff he didn't want, brought in his own staff, and overall that's got us relegated, really. It's a big part of us getting relegated. This guy, Enzo, I don't know how to say his last name, Marseca or Enzo Maresca. It's a massive gamble, really, to take him as manager for Championship. We know Company did it, but like you stated, he was it Anderlecht? He was their manager for 2 seasons of full football before he turned to Burnley. So this guy's played, I think, maybe 15 games as a manager. Sorry, not played, but he was a manager for, I don't know which, it was an Italian side. And like you said, I think he had a 28% win record, 5 wins, 5 draws and 6 losses, which is... It's a gamble, really, to pick him. He's obviously done a lot under...
I think we're trying to do the Arteta style. Obviously, he wasn't a manager before he left Man City background coach. So it took him 3 or 4 years to get to where he is now, if I can remember rightly.
Yeah.
And like Andrew says here, they offered Parker a 1-year deal. He wanted 3.
Yeah.
To be honest, I would have done that.
I think you probably realised the reason we're
trying to
getting Parker for a season is because of what's happened. Again, statistically, he's great at getting clubs out of Championship, but not very good at keeping them in the Premier League. So we would want him for a season. But again, many managers in today's day and age, they're going to want more job security than in a year. It's more than likely
that is short term, not long term, isn't it? And
yeah,
that's the problem. I don't want to be looking for long term in the Championship because you can't bring in somebody who for Championship who's going to be good enough in the Premier League. That you can't. The only one you'd probably say who was close or who was in the rumours was Potter, but we already know that he's rejected.
I'm just going to pull
as
this comment up. Said, "Wow, get your chins up, lad. Enzo's a fantastic appointment." I think that's a stretch.
We don't know anything about him.
You're not basing it on anything other than he's a coach for Man City, and yeah, he's done a lot for Man City as a coach. But what does that mean? How good does that mean he's going to be as a manager? It doesn't back up really what we need. At very least, I'd say it does mean he might be able to pull across some of the youth of Manchester City to Leicester.
I will say that. Maybe. That's what Southampton did last season. They brought in a load of youngsters from Man City Academy and they're relegated. So I'm not too interested in that. Again, if you brought some quality ones, then yes, maybe. But we just don't know anything about him. He's probably out of them all, I'd rather have Gerrard over him just because he's had managerial experience.
Gray said here, One Football saying it's him.
And after that comment, I'm going to bring this up. It's the latest tweet. Rob Dorset says, Man City assistant manager Enzo is the leading candidate to become Leicester City new manager. I understand Leicester determined to take their time for what is a crucial appointment, which it is, I guess, and they do have other options under consideration, but Maresca is the favourite. And like we say, it's a risk, but hopefully it pays off. I wouldn't be as optimistic or excited for the Championship season if he does get appointed over Scott Parker, but that's just me.
Yeah, the club does have to be careful with who they pick. It is a tough one because, again, we need to plan short term because we're in the Championship now and the goal is to get out back into the Premier League, whether that's first, second or through playoffs. Hopefully it's first or second and not through playoffs, but we do just want to get back into the Premier League. But again, having Enzo, it's a massive gamble. He's got nothing to do with the Championship. He's going to have a lot to prove, which I guess is something.
It's his. I wouldn't say start of his managerial career, because again, he has managed before, but not in this sort of situation where company came in from Belgium League, which again isn't the best of the leagues, and he came into the Championship and smashed it on fire. So you never know; it could be
it could work. Situation. But again, it's a massive gamble. If he went for Parker, you know that his track record as he's got 2 teams up into the Premier League in 3 seasons. You know that's a good success rate of getting teams up, and that for me would be the reason why I would have chose Parker. This. Enzo guy there's nothing wrong with doing a little bit of a gamble when you're in certain situations, but I think we're in a weird situation where it's either going to pay off pretty well and we get promoted.
Hit or bust. It's hit or bust, because we've got to go up first time, because otherwise we'll be stuck in this Championship for the next couple of seasons. Mark Hogue says, haha, Gerrard, lol. I'm sorry, but if anyone says they'd rather have Enzo over Gerrard for a managing situation, I'm sorry, you'd be picking Gerrard every single day of the week, because he has got managerial experience. Yes, he's not in the Championship, but Enzo's barely even managed the team.
I know where you're coming from. I think we saw a lot of comments, obviously, over the past week of people saying they don't want Parker in, and I'm very surprised to hear a lot of your fans were saying that, and I've seen a lot more people are happy to get Enzo in, which is fine. Oh, obviously everyone's allowed their opinion.
There are people saying they're happy with Enzo in because it's from Man City.
I don't think that really means anything that he's a coach at Man City. He's got a lot to prove, which is, like we said, it's a big risk for someone like him to come and take a challenge. Obviously got a good gig at Man City, but he wants to be a manager. And again, if there was ever a chance to do it, if Leicester was offered him a job, I think he's going to take it and he's going to try at least. I think if he's the manager, like people are saying, you just got to back him. The decision's made, and we need to realistically. I think the big issue at the moment is bringing a manager so we don't lose any more key players. I think we need someone to convince a lot of these players, because we've heard left, right, and centre that Luke Thomas might go, Dewsbury might go. Harvey Barnes is more than likely going to go away. Same with Maddison, same with Castagna. But people like Fies, some of them may be on the fence a little bit. Maybe you just need a manager to come and say, listen, just give us till January at least, see where we are, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, I guess. Like I say, the 2 managers we've probably been favoured to be linked with. Again, we don't know if anything that we're saying is true or not. Again, we might not know if Scott Parker might have already agreed. You don't know. From what we're hearing on socials and Twitter and whatnot, it looks like he has been declined us. Connor also says here, I reckon it'll be a brilliant appointment. Again, we can think that, but there's no evidence there for me to say that he can be, rather than someone like Scott Parker, who's done it before twice and only 2 seasons in the Championship, and he's done it. So for me, in my opinion, how fans are, because fans weren't backing Parker when he was getting linked to us, but they're backing Enzo. I can't get into my head how you can back one over the other when it should be the opposite way around. For managerial,
I think people's opinions are tough. Like, people are going to base off Scott Parker's record in the Premier League and think of him maybe a similar style to Rodgers as well, which is fair. People can have their opinions, obviously. I think with Enzo, he's just one of those things where he's got a lot to prove, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it can very quickly become a problem. But like I said, we'll back him if he comes in and he is the manager. It's a risky gamble from the club. It's a 50-50 whether it goes well or it doesn't go well, because if it goes well, we get promoted. If it doesn't go well, we stay in the Championship. I think that's regardless if we finish 8th and we don't get in the playoffs, or if we get 1st or 2nd or win the playoffs. There's only 2 outcomes of next season. It's either we have a bad season by not getting promoted, or we have a good season by getting promoted. Anything less than promotion is probably considered a bad season for us. In the Championship, considering we've just been relegated. Yeah,
I agree. Again, I've said to people, like, when we go into every game next season from the start to finish, when we go into each game thinking, what are we expecting here? Should we be winning here? And if we lose, is it a bad result?
Yeah.
On paper, should we be unbeaten the whole season?
Comment. I think we all know pretty much now that it probably isn't going to be Scott Parker for the manager. Again, it's all rumours, talks, but again,
here's a question
I just want to put up this one first. This guy said, I'm so happy to be it's not Scott Parker. I just want to ask, what is your reasoning behind the fans why they don't want Scott Parker?
What is everyone's reason for
in
not
the Championship, he has got teams up, and I know he's had not a great Premier League track record, but I do want to know why people are reluctant to have Scott Parker in the Championship. For me, he's got a good history behind him in the Championship, and he would be a good option. So I'm just curious to see why.
Same with Kiefer as well. You'd rather have Enzo over Parker. Again, you've obviously allowed your opinion and whatnot. We just want to know what your why would you not want him? Because like Connor says, Scott Parker's proved it in the proved it in the Championship, just not good in the Prem, which we all agree. But
just get your comments in as to why.
It's long term. It's long term that he wants, and we can't give him that.
I think that is the killer. I think it would have been Parker if we offered him the 3-year contract.
Reedy is half glass full, guys. Forever optimistic. I'm the same too. As in, how do you mean? Who would you prefer, Enzo or Scott Parker? Because again, and like you say, King, Scott Parker has Brendan Rodgers' DNA. It might be so, but what would you rather take, Scott Parker and get up into the Premier League in one go, or have Enzo and maybe finish 10th?
There's no guarantee Parker can take us up.
No, there's not.
But based on statistics and track record, he's done it twice out of the 3 seasons he's been in there.
I'd rather play boring football and get back in the Premier League straight away than be stuck in the Championship for 2 or 3 seasons with average football.
Yeah, it's a massive risk because we need to financially the club needs to get back into the Premier League because we're already in a tough situation, and wages are still coming out of the club. That doesn't stop just because it's off season. There's a lot of players that still be getting paid at the moment, really. And the quicker we can ship them off, the better. The transfer window has opened for UK, signings. Anyone from the leagues around us, Premier League or League One, any clubs, they can sell players officially from now on. So, it's one of those things where we just need to get a manager in to sort out a bunch of the players that as futures are probably undecided at the moment.
Yeah, Andreas keeps saying about he's not on TV about it. We're talking rubbish. Again, we're not saying it is proof or 100% fact. We're just saying what we think, what we've seen or what we're thinking of. People are saying that Scott Parker has turned us down and the front runner is Enzo. Again, Scott Parker was favourites to be joining Leicester City. So, and now it's changed. So that's the only kind of reason we're saying that Enzo is the front runner to join us. Dipak says Arteta and company are doing good jobs. Probably the tide's turning from an era where Man United used to produce good managers. Again, Arteta under Pep company, he obviously played a lot of football under Pep as well, or even majority of the time in the Premier League. So he kind of knew his kind of style. He was captain. So people like that obviously come with some experience in, I wouldn't say managing, but knowing how to play football. Whereas someone like Enzo, for me, we don't have any stats or any facts there to say otherwise, and that's just me saying. Yeah. I'm not sure if it's worth
like
a gamble.
I said, this is all just rumour still. There's no 100%. It's only 100% when the club announces it officially. But right now we are hearing that Scott Parker did turn us down because he didn't get control over the decisions of signing players, and he also didn't get the long-term contract. And Enzo is looking like the next manager, and he could do well, like we said, but it's a massive gamble in the Championship when I don't think he's had any record of ever doing anything in the Championship. And again, you could say the same for company, and he did well for Burnley. Obviously got them promoted and they won the Championship. So there's nothing wrong with taking a bit of a gamble. It's just one of those things where,
again,
if we got him, if we got him, we do need to back him.
Yeah,
the club can't bring him in.
Whoever comes in,
the players as well.
Whoever comes in, even if it is someone like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer or someone who we're not happy with, we've just got to back it, because otherwise, what we're going to do, just boo and slag off all the players again the next season because we're playing bad football. Like, for me, we've just got to make sure we get down the team either way, even if it is who we don't want as the manager. Connor says no way. I'm guessing that's to, I don't know. Vok says Enzo sounds exotic. Maybe the next great manager. Again, maybe. We don't know. We're just saying on what we know. And then Facebook user says Scott Parker was actually happy with, but when speaking to Bournemouth, Fulham friends and fans, They said we should avoid the reason less fans need to fill the King Power to get something. None of these were provided Scott Parker, although he may get promoted. It all depends what you want it for the club in the next year or two. do you want to get promoted, or do you want bad? You want to watch good football and not get the best out of it? I don't know.
Yeah, again, like I said, it's tough. There's obviously been a lot of names thrown out there. Like I said, Ollie. Son of, I don't know how to say.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
There you go. That's the one from obviously ex-Man United player and manager, looking for a job. I think Championship might not really. He might not fancy Championship. Again, all the rumours recently have been Enzo is looking like being the next manager. I just hope really whoever it is comes in as soon as possible, because the window was open yesterday and players can start leaving and joining from other English teams. So we just need to crack on a little bit, I think, with what we're doing. And like I said, if Enzo is the man, you need to give him the full backing. You need to tell him. And like I said, hopefully he can bring in some Manchester City players on loan, the ones that are on the fringes and need a season or so out on loan to get back to the Man City squad, because, you know, their team is massive and their academy players is probably endless because it's just a massive club. And obviously they're brought in up a lot of talent, you know, like Phil Foden from the academy, stuff like that. There might be wanting a loan out, and it could be to Leicester. You never know, really. It's just one of those things where I think we're both in agreement, and I think everyone is at this point. Whoever it is, just bring him in now, because again, it just takes a while, because we're in the stages now where in a month's time we'll be playing the pre-seasons, and you really need a manager to come and settle in, sign the players he wants, get rid of the players that aren't going to be here, and get ready for the new season, because it's going to come quicker than we realise.
Yeah, and then probably the last comment of the day I'll bring up is Danilo says, what's the potential budget for this season? Again, I think that all depends on what signings go, what signings come in. Like I say, Maddison goes for what, 30, 40, even 50 million. There's 50 million for you to spend on 2 or 3 players. You've got Harvey Barnes, he goes somewhere like West Ham, 20 million, 20, 30 million, I'm not sure. That's another couple.
Castagna as
couple
well.
Castagna, 20
There's going to be a lot of players that do go.
The money will be there if you do sell the players we need to
again,
sell.
It'll be one of those things as well, really, where we'll probably might take a few punches with whoever we sell, because we've heard Maddison's rumoured to go Spurs for 60 million. I don't know how true that is. I don't know I think we'd be very lucky to get 60 million for him, considering he's got a year left on his contract and he's now technically a Championship player. So, you know, the prices would dip because he's just got relegated. That's just how it is. So I think, but someone like him, he's going to be on a massive wage. He's on massive wages at Leicester, and you say the same about Barnes and Castagna. They're all probably both on a lot of wages, and that's the main thing that needs to go, because, like I said, that those 7 players that left us for free, they were all probably between them on $500,000 in wages a week, really, which is a lot of money.
It is, yeah.
Considering that half of them, all of them weren't playing apart from Tielemans and Evans, but the other 5 were on the fringes or out on loan, not even playing. So
Ben Morgan says Bellingham's brother has gone to Sunderland. These players we should be going for, high potential. Again, if I'm totally honest, I don't think he's as good as people think. It's just because his brother's amazing. People just think that the next good thing is the sibling, I guess.
I just want to pull up this comment. Tom's watching. He said 45 million for Maddison. I think we'll be lucky. I agree. But the way the club works,
he's a Championship player now.
Well, we know the way the club works. They're going to try and squeeze every last penny out of the players, and for me, that just wastes time. If Maddison wants to go, if he wants to go for 45 million, or if that's how much they've offered, and we're trying to squeeze 50 million, it's not worth it. Just let him go and bring someone in. Spend his money to bring in a new player. We need to stop. Imagine we
can't sell Maddison, and he has to stay. Imagine what that's going to do.
I think he'll be quite a toxic player in the Championship. Yeah. A bit like Maresca was when he was wanting to go and he didn't. I think Maddison might.
Then we won't get any money from him next summer.
Where we wouldn't get the money, but I also think in the Championship he wouldn't want to play for us because he wanted his move. And again, you know, he came out and said we'll stick together, yada yada, all this PR nonsense, because we know he's going to go. You know, he can say what he likes, but it's all just PR nonsense because he's going to go either way.
Yeah, last few comments I'm just going to put up. Do you think Daka will step up to the plate?
I
I do, in my opinion. That's if he stays.
I think we'll sell him. I think, again, he's another one that's on high wages, that's done nothing. And I think with a couple of years left in his contract, we will just try and sell him. Just get cash out on him, get a little bit of money back, take him off the wage bill, and bring in someone who knows the Championship a little better.
Okay, if you say so, mate. Oh, these are all like little rumours. Maybe it's true. You never know.
I think he's got better taste than Poundland, probably.
Maybe so. Well, it'll probably be somewhere Italian-wise. Appreciate you all coming on, guys, and we'll catch you all on the next. Hopefully, the next show is going to be the manager appointed show. Hopefully, if not, might be a week's time. See you in a bit.